Great questions from the community here for you, brother. Kate's asking, when you're gaining momentum for the end of the year, but you see your spouse struggling, how do you help them so you both meet your year-end goals?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I mean, for those of you who saw my wife in here a few months back, one of the things I've talked about with my relationship, I'm so grateful for my wife because she had a very different childhood to what I have. I was consider myself to be super lucky with the childhood that I had, with the parents that I had, of really feeling safe and loved in that environment. But my wife grew up in an environment of a lot of trauma. And so her challenges, I mean, I can sometimes just reframe something and ask myself a better question and do some tapping, give myself a better meaning. Sometimes those things are a little bit more difficult for her. And so I think that in the same way that we talked about self-acceptance for us, I think the first thing we have to do for our spouse is to accept them as they are with what's going on and to acknowledge them for those things. And so often we, especially us men, we like to go in and fix things, right? With our wives. And so often what we really need to do is to listen to what's going on for them and starting off from that place and to just have honest and open communication about where we are, about what we're each feeling, and then about how we can support each other. And to know that you have to come into the relationship with support, with love, and give whatever advice you can, but to not let any of that stop you from your personal growth forward as well. Jennifer, are you there?
Yeah, hi.
Awesome. What can I help you with today? What's your question today?
You are helping me because my challenge, I have fear of speaking in front of people, so I'm just pretending I'm talking to you. So thank you for just letting me talk. I have social anxieties like in these kind of situations.
Yeah.
Or when I'm speaking in front of people. So is there like a particular, I'm highly confident because of like I attribute it to my father and my brothers.
Mm-hmm.
Like I will do anything. I'll just go do stuff.
Yeah.
But I still get like anxiety inside, like before speaking. So it's mostly, I'm an action taker, but when it comes to like speaking, if you told me we'll go speak to 10,000 people or 5,000 people, then I'd do it, but I'd freak out and I don't have the tools to do it. So this is, I feel, really helpful. Is there a particular part of your app that would be like the most useful to me, who's not afraid to do anything, but I know that don't feel equipped?
I believe that there are tapping meditations in there for public speaking that you can use in those moments. You can also, if you just start to use the app and experience different ones, you'll find ones that really resonate for you. I'll tell you the most popular one we have in the app, I believe, is our anxiety meditation. And I think it's had something like, I don't know what the number is now, but 400,000 plays of that meditation. On average, it reduces anxiety by something like 42% because we track it in the app. It's kind of cool. You calibrate before and after. So what I would suggest doing is using the app and testing it for yourself and going, you know what, this is the one that makes me feel the most calm and centered. And maybe what you can do as well is use different meditations and visualize yourself going on that stage, right? So visualize the different components. As I said, when I went to get up on that stage, I knew the different triggers that were going to trigger me. I remember at one point, I thought I was ready and had mentally prepared. And all of a sudden I had this visualization of raising my eyes and seeing the crowd way in the back. And it freaked me out. All of a sudden I was like, boom, level 9 again. Because I hadn't prepared myself for those people in the back and how many people there'd be way back there. So go through and visualize those different components when you go to talk and tap through each one until you can visualize yourself confidently doing it. Now, this doesn't mean that you're going to tap and go out there with zero fear or anxiety. Truthfully, you shouldn't have zero fear or anxiety because a little bit of that fear and adrenaline gets you in the mode and makes you sharp. But you don't want to be, the challenge with being at a level 7 or 8 of fear and anxiety is that your brain is not going to be as on tune and ready to access the information as you want it to be. So you want to lower that fear and anxiety just so you show up as yourself, right? I mean, I always try to remind myself whether I'm doing a live like this or if I'm going to speak on stage, like, hey, just be yourself, right? Anytime you try to be somebody else, people notice, right? And it's just not as congruent. If you just show up as yourself, you will do your best there. And again, just practice through visualization, doing the tapping, preparing yourself visually, going through that, mentally preparing in your head before you go out on stage or to speak in front of other people. You don't have to be at a 0. Just lower that stress or anxiety to a 2 or a 3, to whatever you feel comfortable getting yourself out there to do it. And then as you keep doing it, you're going to start to build that belief in yourself. Like, hey, you know what? I did that. And I would recommend, after you have a successful time, write it down. One of the things that we do not do enough when it comes to building our confidence is to write down the experiences where we did well. That when we're in those tough moments, we can go back to and go, hey, look, this is what I said when this happened last time. Or, you know what, last time when I spoke, this is what this person said to me. Write that down. I recommend this for anybody who's a coach who doubts themselves when they work with people. Whenever you get a great testimonial or a great comment, write that down so that when you're in those tough moments, you're like, oh, I've got no confidence. Let me go look at all these positive comments I've gotten from people, so you can connect to the work that you've done before. Because we're always going to have those fluctuations of up and down with confidence and courage, especially with practice. Maybe you do amazing speaking and then you take off a year and you have to go do it again. You're like, because those beliefs aren't fresh in your mind. So I hope that answered some questions for you and that helped a little bit. Do the mental preparation, visualize yourself, do future pacing of what it might be like, and then use one of the tapping meditations to continue to visualize yourself going through those steps and being successful doing it. And then, of course, right before you go to do it, I recommend take those 10 minutes before you go on stage and speak to use that tapping meditation that's going to center you where you see yourself doing it successfully right before you go on stage.
Thank you, which I have no intention of, but just like even this, maybe the tapping before was helpful to ask my question.
Awesome. No, I'm glad this helped.
Thanks for your time.
Your question.
Let me ask you a couple questions here, some speed round from the community that I just thought was really great. And I know you talked about your night routine and how people struggle with that. What are some fundamental must-haves you feel like for that evening wind down or evening routine?
I mean, for me, for starters, it is actually setting timelines on the things, on the way you shut yourself down or slow yourself down from the day. And I've got the same structure for my kids, and a lot of my stuff revolves around my kids. So I know that for my kids now, it's 8 o'clock, all devices are off, and that includes adults. All of us, devices are off at 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock, it's that getting ready for bed, it's that spending time together, it's that calming our body down so that we can get ready for bed, right? And just being present with each other and talking about the day and all that kind of stuff. Because family for me is everything. And that's, for me, the happiest part of my day is, I can have a great day, but if at the end of the day, I get to the end of the day and my kids had something tough going on, I'm like, oh, okay, what can I do to help them and support them? So it is that wind down process of shutting off from devices. And then just like I do in the morning process, it's being present with myself. And I notice the difference. I'm not perfect about doing my planner all the time. Sometimes I'll miss a morning or miss an evening. And when I don't, I'm basically just like I said in the example during this, I'm not being that pilot. I'm being that pilot who just runs on the plane and starts flying without going through my checklist process to make sure that I'm actually going where I want to go and doing what I want to do. And so I make sure to be present with myself emotionally and go, well, what am I actually feeling from today? What do I need to release? Whether it's anger or frustration, not really, I don't really get angry anymore. I used to be angry as a teenager, a good amount, but anger is not an emotion that I really dive into. Frustration definitely would be. But I recognize what emotions I have and I tap to release them, right? I acknowledge them and I release them so that I can actually get myself to bed. And I always just go back to acknowledging that I'm doing my best, right? That we're all doing our best. That, no matter how much I, want to beat myself up or think, oh, I could have done better or I should be further along. I mean, that's a common theme for everybody is, oh, I should be further along in my life or my business or further along with my health. And I just acknowledge and go, hey, I'm doing my best. And the more I beat myself up about that, the more I rob my joy of being present with life. At the end of the day, what happens to me, what matters to me is my health. Like, man, when I can get a good run in or play soccer, that is the most alive I feel in any given day. And then just being present with people. And I have to always remind myself being present with people because I'm always around people. The question is, am I actually present with them in a way where I can enjoy those interactions? And so I just remind myself of those things. I do gratitude every evening. I write down 3 things that I'm grateful for in the evening. I think that's a really important process. I notice in my planner, literally the second I get to that part and I start tapping into gratitude, my whole body just goes, and it just calms me down. And I go, oh yeah, there's always so much to be grateful for every single day. And so I go through that process. So those are just some of the things I do in the evening.
This can be your day for personal growth. This can be that day you committed to and you remember and you go, that was the day I got myself a community. I got better coaches. I committed to making my life the absolute best that I could. This is that day. Make today your growth day. Click the button on this page and sign up right now.